All right, folks, a little bit of a longer break this time around, but that's only because we are finally ready to get into our sixth and final match of the night. University of Tennessee and University of Hawaii. Sir Waltham and Jag here to round out this evening's events. Jag, what are we thinking about these teams?
Well, Hawaii, a new team to EGF, a new team overall in Overwatch, and I think this program has a lot of really cool connections to professional Overwatch overall. I mean, Project Aloha, when the Overwatch League had their playoffs, it constantly would use their facility, so there was a lot of interaction there. However, this team hasn't had the most success thus far. I currently believe they are 0-2, and looks like one person is trying to reconnect to the lobby, so hopefully they get in before this round starts. I mean, one thing is they're playing from Hawaii, so that ping is going to be a bit of an issue. On the other hand, Tennessee, they're a team that came in the middle of last season. During season 2, they came in at the spring, so it's kind of interesting. Them in Cincinnati coming in, they only had an 8-game schedule. They were always kind of like one of those middling teams. They could punch up above their weight. They could also do very well against teams a bit below them this season. They look really fired up, and I think the biggest thing that they had told me back during media week was that they are not just going to one-trick brawl anymore. Like, they have adapted beyond that, and they have a lot of different looks that they can show.
Yeah, and that's something that I think we mentioned. I can't remember whether it was at the Colorado game or the St. John's game, but adaptation is one of those things that I love seeing out of these teams. Really glad to hear that University of Tennessee going to start to be a little bit more elastic in their compositions, a little bit more flexible in that capacity.
I think the only thing they haven't really found so far this season, because it's a 2-0 record, is they haven't found that 3-0 sweep. They've always given up one map, and I believe it's usually been Hybrid. I think Hybrid has been their biggest struggle thus far, and that is usually Force Escort, where they've looked a lot better. So we'll see if they can get over that hump, go for a full sweep, or if Hawaii can get their first win on the day. Either way, there's going to be some goals to be playing for, and hopefully that player on the side of Hawaii can get back in here soon.
Yeah, and looking at the stats here, Jag, I believe, if my math is correct, you said that University of Tennessee has never seen a 3-0 sweep. University of Hawaii has not yet won a map, so one of those two things will have to happen, statistically.
Something's got to give, and here we are. Their off-tank is back in. It's going to be Brawl v. Brawl. This is going to be the Junkrat versus the McCree. I think that's going to be the biggest. And actually, no, they're going to go for the May. So, oh, this is an interesting matchup.
So far, liking the look from UTK a little bit better. Basher taking down one. That's going to be the lead in Tennessee. Now going to be putting a little bit more weight down on those heels, chasing now Hawaii all the way back to potential spawn.
That is going to be a decisive first fight, I must say, and I gotta agree with you. I do like the Junkrat pick here. We've seen it work many a times today, as you've seen it probably more than I have, seeing that you've done all the matches, but yeah. It's so easy to spam through those tight corridors for these hallways, and it's just very dangerous to run into Hawaii. They've got to try to find an aim, try to wall someone off, but so far they have not found that opening.
So far, not yet, but still plenty more of these fights to go here. It's going to be Hawaii trying to suss out any weaknesses. We're going to be seeing that Rip Tire come out, spinning around, wrapping around behind Hawaii. Doesn't seem to be able to respond. Gets 3 off the tire. And just like that, Tennessee's able to cave in on the rest of the remaining players.
I'm gonna be honest, like, every part of this University of Tennessee team, I think I've casted basically every match they've had so far has been really impressive to me. But the Hubs and Basher have really come into their own, I feel like, this season. They're very, they've got a very wide hero pool. You see them usually kind of swapping between hit scan and projectile. Hubs here, look at that rotation with the tire. Never saw it coming on the side of Hawaii.
Yeah, I absolutely have to agree here. And Hawaii now just struggling to get outmatched and barely able to get away with 100 HP left in their pool. And now Hawaii at a little bit of a standstill. They don't want to poke through this doorway yet.
Now it's going to be really hard. I mean, Lemon Shark is solo, so you need to get them healed up really quickly. I think at this point, just use the Maywall as an initiator to cut off some of that damage. Don't even worry about cutting someone off. Maybe you can catch them off guard and go for that shatter, but...
Oh no.
How's the kid with another tire?
And we just saw the Immortality Field come out from Kibo, meaning there's nothing to save this. The Maywall going to be trying to save them from the tire. It buys just enough time. Wow. Small coincidence there. The Hub's not able to get too much benefit. Earth Shadow goes in, Raze not able to find too much with it. However, Lucky Dog on the remech getting 2. The Diva Bomb demeching and then remeching, killing the Baby Diva.
That's every ult they have, but I don't think it matters. There's not enough time for Hawaii to touch. this is gonna be 100-0 unless that boot from the Moira somehow, no, she lands back. Yeah, you can see that the turn, Lucky Dog looking to see if they landed on the side. They don't, and no one is able to get on the point. That's Tennessee looking very good, and there's a, the only 10 IC joke somewhere in there, but I'm not gonna make it tonight.
That's fair enough. I'm sure that, especially from the side of University of Hawaii, you're going to be groaning at Tennessee for a while. We don't need to add another reason to give them to groan. But now, as we look ahead, I believe I saw it was Night Market coming up next. No, it's going to be Gardens instead.
Gardens coming out, so this Pharah comp. I think this is what Tennessee has really improved on. Their Wrecking Ball comp. Unfortunate disconnects. We'll see if they can get back in, but this Wrecking Ball comp from Tennessee, in my opinion, has been just so good. It really shows that they've really kind of grown out of only being able to run the Brawl. The Pharah has been really, really good, and here's going to be an example of how they could use it. I feel like this comp isn't as ideal here as maybe it is on certain points, certain maps, but we'll see how they try to run it here.
You're talking about the composition coming in from which side?
For Tennessee, I feel like the Wrecking Ball, it's good, but it's, there could potentially be better options. We'll have to see how they decide to run it, how they decide to engage with it, I think is the big question.
Well, one thing I'm always fascinated here by Jag is that, people would say that certain compositions will run differently at certain levels of skill of your opponents. But one thing I'm always very curious about is those heroes that are pristine at creating chaos. It seems to me like those would work exponentially better as you start to go, lower and lower towards that disciplined team play style. So maybe Tennessee, could get a little bit more fundamental value out of a different composition, but maybe the Wrecking Ball is something that can throw Hawaii into enough of a tailspin to get even more capitalization on.
You're absolutely right. The Wrecking Ball is just chaos incarnated, and the way you run it a lot of the time is, maybe you get a boot, maybe you run through some people, do some damage, but you just want to be a distraction, you want to be a nuisance, you want the main tank to take their eye off of whether it's a hallway or a doorway, whatever they're looking at, you want them to have their attention turned so that way the rest of your core can run in. Wrecking Ball, you can do a lot of damage, but really it's just there to get a little bit of that perseverance out of the way for your opponent, and a teleporter. I do like the teleporter strat right into the Tracer. I really like that setup from Tennessee.
Yeah. Tennessee looking very good for that. Worth noting, Hoopa going to be hopping in, coming in on that off-tank roll. And Tennessee already starting off with an early kill on to Hanji, meaning that there's not going to be any McCree to deal with that Pharah. No, Cowboy, to deal with that Pharah. Now, as we look here, Hawaii continuing to try to just get themselves nestled onto point and get some sort of damage, get some early progress if possible. But Tennessee doesn't want to let up. DeHub still in the sky, trying to rain down that pain.
No mercy, though, so got to be a lot more careful here. It looks like they will turn this around, but that was a pretty good fight for Hawaii. They should be able to regroup as 6 people. There's a D.Va out of mech. And actually, Lucky Dog just gonna jump off the sides. This might be your time to shine if you can avoid this spam damage coming in from the Pharah, who is putting in work. Hub's getting close to that rocket barrage. And yep, they're actually gonna swap, so now they're gonna go for more of a dive-centric comp, but they're gonna keep the McCree here, so that McCree gonna be a bit of a guardian angel for the supports.
Gotta be trying anyway. Not a guardian angel enough as Basher takes the pulse bomb, sticks it right onto Newt, and down will go that Brigitte with very little recourse left. University of Hawaii just has to soft shoe out.
Yeah, they're just gonna have to back all the way up. Ray's not able to build up much on this Winston. The closest thing they have is that High Noon, which could be great at taking out the pharmacy in the sky, but they might just be able to walk away. I think the biggest thing right now is Paravir has the Transcendence. Could use it, honestly, to just try to mitigate any damage that the Hubs takes from this rocket barrage.
And we see DeHubs trying to go with that rocket barrage, responded to rather quickly by the D.Va and by the Ana. Like seeing that alertness come in from U of Hawaii, but not going to be finding too much off the back end of it despite the cancellation. It's going to still be the DPS largely killing for the side of Tennessee. We're going to be seeing that Valk come out from Noodles, keeping everybody up and alive, and now we're getting aggressive.
And these fights are just going on for so long. The stagger kills are coming through where there's always going to be one person left behind. Now it might be the soldier, gets the health pack, but does end up falling. The D.Va ends up falling. This is 80% on the point right now. And there's still 3 ultimates that you're going to be walking into. This is looking very dire for Hawaii. They do have ultimates of their own, but every time they engage, it looks like they just get booped away.
And Lucky Dog able to get 2 off the back end of that self-destruct. In a moment like this, that's not something you can afford. Hoopa going to be trying to go in for a self-destruct of their own, not finding too much. Able to get remeched and get onto point, but that's just going to be one lone D.Va trying to make a stand. Can only do so much. Discorded, hit by rockets, hit by a pile driver. Will buy enough time for the Winston, for the Tracer. However, Soldier going to be sent into the cliffside below. The Hubs just keeping Overlook on top of this entire field. Overtime slowly ticking down. And with that, University of Tennessee off to a great start.
That was a great play there at the very end, dislocating the Soldier. It was the combination of the Pharah and the D.Va both just using their abilities to boot them off the side. It doesn't get much better than that. I think the Soldier would have actually been able to survive and stay on the side if it wasn't for the D.Va running into them immediately as it happened. So, great combination there to get a 200-0 win. Tennessee looking very, very strong, showing us a few different looks. And I mean, to Hubs, I feel like it was the kind of the Hub show. Basher doing a lot of work too, but the Junkrat and the Pharah both looked mighty fine.
Yeah, just great awareness from the University of Tennessee team all around. If I'm being honest, it looked like they really kind of had all the pieces put together in a way that I mean, University of Hawaii just couldn't cope. I want to say that Hawaii really did seem at some of those points to scramble once their team got separated, once their team started getting pushed in some really aggressive ways that you might just not in your normal games experience all that often. Getting that almost spawn touch, it can be very crucial to not let your mental break at that point.
And also now you're dealing with a sub, right? We've got Hoopa coming in, who I thought actually was doing, a pretty good job on the D.Va. Again, you did see a little bit of disconnect like you mentioned, and I think there, when your D.Va is not playing maybe the way you're expecting or the way that you set things up, it can be a little bit tricky. Maybe you've got a more cautious D.Va who's playing more to peel for your supports and protect your Reinhardt versus a more aggressive D.Va who's just diving in, going for the support line of the other team. Those things can make a world of a difference, especially in a match that already seems pretty chaotic when you're dealing with a Wrecking Ball comp. So there's a lot of things not going Hawaii's way early on, but it's only one map. There's still at least 2 more to go.
Yeah, and I mean, you said it yourself, Jag. Tennessee historically struggles a little bit on these hybrid maps, and if you're University of Hawaii, the good news is you got a hybrid map coming up next in Kings Row. The opportunity going to be there, and hey, what do you know? Lucio's also in concert, coming to Kings Row, probably much sooner than that poster would lead you to believe.
You want to go? I think I can get tickets for us.
I would love to go. That'd be fantastic.
All right, but if Lucio's wearing that, I'm gonna be a bit spooked. I'm gonna be honest. That's a little bit too scary for me. But the Brawl comp coming out once more for Tennessee. The old reliable, the May, McCree. We saw that Hawaii, they tried to run it themselves early. It didn't work because I just don't feel like Control Center is really meant for that. Here Kings Row does, but this is a strat that I do love to see. I kind of talked about it earlier on, the idea of the Symmetra and the Bastion. We're going to go right up to the top of that statue that we're going to see. You're going to rain down bullets from above, and then you can continue to teleport throughout most of the rest of the map. The second and third point are a little bit more difficult, but we'll see if they can execute it here.
Yeah, Mia and Tugboat were talking about different things to call this. The Mundata hat, or the Mundata crown, when you just teleport the Bastion right on top. Looks like University of Hawaii is taking their time. There it is. It's going to finally be opening up. And the Maywall actually giving a nice little boost. It's shooting that Bastion back down to the ground. But face level still not going to be looking too bad for University of Hawaii. A couple immortality fields being committed by both sides. One being committed by both sides. And right now, University of Tennessee has no other recourse than to just try to give up a little bit of space, wrap around, be a little bit of a boa constrictor here around the University of Hawaii. Right now, Basher taking a lot of damage, and University of Hawaii might start to get some strong position, some strong take here.
Yeah, they will. They should probably hit the full cap here, especially with these stagger eliminations that are coming out. There is one member on top. I think it's the May. And I was going to talk about the Hubs, actually. So the Hubs gets a great wall, right? It knocks everyone off, but then they get caught out. They're in the middle of the team. They actually do get out, but it forces the immortality field early on. The rotations kind of come through where University of Hawaii plays like defenders. Tennessee tries to go around Hotel, but then they lose Doge Fighter along the way. And then this Bastion, once it's able to set up, it works wonders. They are going to swap now Hoopa to the D.Va, so no shield specifically for the Bastion, but Lemon Shark is going to stay on that Omnic for now.
No surprise there. If it's not broke, don't fix it. That certainly might be the mindset of University of Hawaii. Earthshatter goes out. Doge Fighter not able to find too much with it. Does get the Symmetra. And the Hub's the only one taken down by the return Earthshatter. And just like that, University of Hawaii has any momentum they had stopped.
Great Earthshatter. You saw one that came out from Raze. Actually looks pretty nice as well, but immediately following that was their death, so they couldn't get enough going there. They do have a lot of ultimates. They did get Tennessee to use more in that engagement, and I mean, Kibo hits a good Ant Matrix. Ant Matrix plus Bastion, that's just like certain destruction.
Now, as we can see here, Tennessee holding firmly on this cart, and Raze way far ahead of the rest of their team. That D.Va not able to wrap around fast enough, getting sectioned off by DeHubs, and from there it is easy pickings. The UTK going to be looking to lean in. This D.Va has to be careful not to get late staggered.
And Shark gonna be behind. We'll have to keep an eye out on that. And I think there you might see some of the ping issues that affect you, because it's pretty far from Hawaii to mainland USA. And there you saw that Raze just didn't put their shield up. I thought, you know, maybe if they put their shield up, they'll be able to be rescued in time, but wasn't able to. Lemon Shark, however, doesn't get caught up. It has the ultimate, so this could be huge.
It's going to be the Maywall coming out. Lemon Shark getting caught immediately, tries to drop it, finds nothing. The Blizzard goes in, cuts on the opposite, on the positive side of the Proton barrier. Doge Fighter able to get 3 kills with some big hammer swings.
Oh, that would have been perfect, but the Hubs was aware of what was going on. Maybe Lucky Dog did scout them out, I'm not sure. Looks like Doge Fighter might have been trying to go for a cheeky shatter there, ends up leaving, but that wall, that May wall was so big, it blocked off the initial hit, and then it allowed Basher to go back in with the flashbang. Just great team play from UTK.
Absolutely have to agree. Doge Fighter going to be going in with the Earth Shatter. Gets 2, no shield to block it this time. However, going to be taking a little bit of a nap. Doesn't stop the rest of University of Tennessee from going in, killing absolutely everybody that exists.
This is going to be a very hard composition to execute for University of Hawaii. They have to be perfectly in sync, and the DPS, I feel like that they have just aren't really what Raze needs as backup. Usually you want an Echo or a Sombra, a Reaper, or a Tracer, something that's fast and does a lot of burst damage. But right now they got Hanzo and McCreary. I feel like the opposite. They do a lot of chunk damage, and they can do burst damage, but they're also very slow. And I mean, there you see the Hanzo just kind of losing the 1v1 to the D.Va.
Yeah, D.Va not going to be able to get too much with that self-destruct. Speaking of them, Basher leaning in with this high noon, able to get 1 kill from the Cowboy himself, and now University of Tennessee loses just to Hubs, but still, the numbers overwhelming for Tennessee.
This looks so good for Hawaii at the get-go, but now they only have 2 minutes left. They have no ultimates to use, and again, this composition just does not work super well in tandem. You don't need the Lucio when you have a Wrecking Ball. There's really no one to speed unless you're trying to get your McCree in somewhere. But they want to hold on to this for a potential sound barrier. But that sound barrier probably not going to be on time or online in time to counter the self-destruct.
See exactly how they opt into fighting this one. Self-destruct goes out, pin onto the D.Va. Everybody now just put in their own separate corners for the side of Hawaii and getting picked apart methodically because of that.
Yeah, there you don't even have to use a self-destruct for kills. You saw what happened. When everyone backed up, that was the go button for Doge Fighter. They charged in, they were able to find someone out of it. And it's an ultimate that works out well. Self-destruct, it can be just for zoning, but as we reset Tennessee, they are building up their mail once again. They still have a shatter and their own sound barrier. Hawaii, they are approaching quite a few ults, but how do they use it? And who do you put your nano on? Wrecking Ball, not a great nano target. D.Va is okay, I guess. It could be time for the Electric Cowboy.
It's a risky gambit, but that's exactly what we're seeing. At least we're seeing the nano go on to Lemon. Lemon not quite able to achieve too much of it, though. Going to be throwing in the high noon, but with the Earth Shatter, Doge perhaps baiting that push to come in. And just like that, University of Hawaii post-emptively, I suppose, going to be dropping that sound barrier, trying to keep themselves intact. And Hanji going to be able to get 2 kills with the Dragons, but that's not nearly enough.
You know what that means when it's the red dragon like that? That means the arrow that's actually thrown out for the Dragon Strike got a headshot as it was coming out. So that is very, very cool. It takes out both 2 people, I think both DPS, but Tennessee still have great positioning. They're just waiting to regroup, and they still have a huge ultimate advantage going into this. They will have to deal with those mines, but Noodles has been saving that sound barrier for a rainy day.
Yeah, certainly not going to be too difficult to deal with. Gonna be the mines coming online, but Pyrovira has this amplification matrix to try to change something. High Noon coming in from within the subway. Long tunnel to try to protect Basher from being dove during that vulnerable time. DaHub's gonna be throwing down the Blizzard, locking things down. Takes a shot from the Buddy Blaster from Hoopa, but that's not gonna be enough. Doge Fighter now charging forward, trying to prevent anybody from coming back into the fight. Team kill means it doesn't matter. Earth Shatter just to add a little salt in the wound.
Very well executed flank there by DaHubs, has the ultimate online, knows the D.Va is not in the line of sight to eat the ultimate with the defense matrix, and from there able to get, I think, 3 solo kills through the May Blizzard before all is said and done. Like you said, does fall to, but by then the damage is done. That fight is won, in Tennessee now need to only get about 1.5 points here on King's Row. We'll see if they try to go for that Bastion strategy like Hawaii did, and I got to talk about some history. We usually call that the Northeastern strategy based on where I used to play. And I know this is going to pain our producer because they actually went to Boston University, the rival of Northeastern, but that was a strategy that they used to use all of the time, and it always beat BU. So it's at least coined like that in collegiate Northeast.
And I've just gotten word that we're going to be cutting Jag's feed. So folks, don't worry. There's no technical issues there. No, but in all seriousness, yeah, very much so. Anticipating Tennessee to come out with a decent performance just based off of what we saw them last time around.
Yeah, I don't. So I don't think they'll swap. Like, I don't really see any reason to, and I think it could work out. Usually, Brawl will be double shield just because you can speed onto them and kind of take away the space you want. But this is going to be a much harder attempt because instead of playing on the low ground, they'll play on the high ground. They'll also play Wave of Bastion. This is really interesting. Basher are going to be running into a whole lot of bullets on this Widow.
Immediately going to have to be taking the back step, not thinking they can achieve too much. Switching on to the Hanzo, though. Getting that sonar arrow out. A little bit of recon. AFC alike. And right now, so far, not a whole lot of shots being exchanged between these two teams. But it looks like University of Tennessee not going to be deciding to put some immediate pressure on point. Instead, going to be routing up, going towards that high ground. Trying to find something. We see DaHub still creeping around on point, or at least near that phone booth, waiting for any drop downs. But with the quick rotation of Hawaii, at least this looks a little bit practiced. For giving them some sort of credit. And just like that, University of Tennessee looking to push ahead. Doge Fighter just waiting to get within swing range, goes for the pin, gets the Orisa, not the Bastion, but now just swings heavy and gets everybody else.
Oh, this is so tactical. This is reminding me of the main tank from UConn, just ruthless aggression, but that time it is completely planned. They throw the immortality field onto where they're going to charge. It's so beautifully executed. It does take up about a minute on the clock because that rotation does take a while to do. They will get the full cap, and the ultimates they have, this could be a very big snowball. Like, they land this shatter and it's basically game over for this map.
As we can see here, only 83 meters, 82 and change to go before victory is sealed for University of Tennessee. It's going to be the Earth Shatter that lands onto 5 members. University of Hawaii in a very rough spot. That immortality field to bail out a few of the members, but DaHub's leaning in with those such strong abilities from the Doomfist. Try to chase down the Baptiste, but it's going to be Lucky Dog making them a smear.
Isn't enough though. There is a D.Va who can still contest. There is, I believe, an Ashe still alive, so that wasn't as cleanly executed as you'd like on the side of University of Tennessee. There is a chance for a possible touch here, but they do have a self-destruct that could just negate any chance of that.
Lucky Dog maybe looking for that self-destruct to be thrown right down. Going to be tearing up their opponent in Hoopa. Not even going to be needing the self-destruct. Crosses the box before Tennessee even needs it to blast off. And just like that, Tennessee taking their second map here on Kings Row.
I really liked what Hawaii did. I really liked the Bastion strat. I really liked the rotation. Like you said, it looked practiced. It looked thought out. But they didn't think about the lamp. And the immortality field gets thrown in, and you know, all that damage that you do from Bastion, it's just not enough, unfortunately, there. And got cornered. I don't think that Orisa had her fortify either, so she wasn't able to avoid the charge, and maybe she does. It actually saves the Bastion because she doesn't take the charge, but it doesn't save him for long. And once your Bastion is gone, your main source of damage that you're pumping everything into, your fight is going to be lost.
Yeah, always a difficult situation when you lose the linchpin of what most would see the linchpin of your comp as. Folks, however, we are not quite done. Hawaii still hanging in there, has one more map to go, and we'll be seeing it after this break, so stick around. Hello, folks. Just like that, we are back ready to hop onto Anubis. Not much waiting for these teams, Tennessee and Hawaii, both ready and excited to get going on this third map of the match up here. And University of Tennessee going to be looking in towards that double shield composition.
I do like the double shield. It's very good at controlling this first kind of high ground that usually defenders set up on. However, one thing that's interesting is no Junkrat. And we know how good the Hubs is at Junkrat. We saw how efficient they were playing that before. Instead, you're going to go for the Torbjorn. And the Torbjorn isn't bad by any means. It's very good at anti-dive if you put the turret in a good place, but just don't have that same sort of spam damage. They'll be relying on that a little bit more from the Ashe Dynamite. We'll see if they can shut down this double bubble. And as you and I have seen all night, double bubble has just not been the answer no matter what team is playing it.
Certainly has not seemed to breathe the secret sauce for anyone just yet. And if I don't see a hammer kill, I'm going to be at least a little bit disappointed here, Jag. I'll be honest with you. But so far, we got to see them get within that fighting range. And right now, Tennessee just content to let them stay at that arm's length, not even worry about getting close. Hanji on that Sombra, not even able to get too much. That turret's going to make things real difficult to get any hacks off.
Yeah, that's the one advantage I will say about the Torbjorn over the Junkrat is that it'll just cancel any hack because you cannot be interrupted, you cannot be damaged during the middle of casting it, or it just nothing happens and then you lose the cooldown. So we'll have to see if they can get the hacks, and it looks like they're going to be taking an alternate route to do so. They do get it onto the Orisa.
An opportunity there, but it's one that Hawaii is not even going to really be able to capitalize on. Still in rotation as that hack hits. Tennessee going to be taking down that Zarya, meaning that now Hawaii has a choice whether to leave, try to regroup, or fight it out. And Lemon Shark slowly creeping around the back in the meantime.
Have a nano, so are they trying to commit it onto the Genji to be a bit of a flanker, but that immediately caught out by the turrets? Never mind. Oopsie daisies there. They moved the turret. I guess they were expecting that, but they're going to nano the Winston.
Oh, and then Winston getting burned down so aggressively. Raze just getting torn to bits. That Sombra not able to translocate. Gotta be careful, otherwise they will lose their life in that. Just like that, and Hawaii now has to wait for the regroup.
And what can they do once they get the regroup? I mean, what do they have to work with? Not a whole lot, and now they're making changes. I was a big fan of the idea of building up the EMP and trying to capitalize on that, save up another nano for it, but it said they were going to be moving to a bit of a brawl with a Winston. This is interesting. Usually you run a Moira instead here, and I'm not sure. I guess they're going to try to play around this Primal Rage, but they don't have a Lucio.
Gonna be very difficult here. Lucky Dog looking to lock down 3 members, get a lot of damage in as well with that Gravitic Flux coming online, and now Basher just continuing to hold down these long lines of sight. Nobody paying any attention to Hoopa means that they're gonna probably be baby for a while, at least until the Hubs fire some rebar.
The ultimates that are still online, they've only used the Gravitic Flux, Bob, Molten Core. I mean, everything is online, so they just have so many ways to hold on to this point, and there's only a minute 20 left. I mean, you could use the M-Matrix right here, right now, and that'd probably be the end of the fight, and that's what they're gonna do.
That's exactly what they're gonna do. They still have the turbocharger, but Hoopa getting torn to bits as soon as they come out of that mech. The Hub's actually getting stunned out, but nobody can seem to close the kill for University of Hawaii. Immortality Field has to go down, and Basher just on high ground has their pick at the litter here, taking body shot after body shot, no heads despite that high angle.
And I mean, that was a crazy angle from Basher, but did you see where Lucky Dog was? Lucky Dog was literally behind them, and no one ever turned around. Hawaii was focused on trying to fight the battle up front, couldn't figure out there was someone waiting in the lurks, and like you said, the Supercharger there, the Transcendence and Bob is still ready to go. There is an Matrix of Hawaii's, and maybe a Dragon Strike, but this is last fight territory.
It's getting very close for the side of Hawaii. They have to be very careful and try to get some progress on point if they want any opportunity at winning here. And Ray's taking down 3 with an amplified fire strike. That is amazing. Lucky Dog, however, managing to pull things around. 1 melee to the Baptiste. Yep, that'll do it. And it was so close. Hawaii had such a huge opportunity, but it's just going to be this baby diva lingering a little bit longer.
Pilot Diva versus the world can't finish it out, and I think a big part of that win was Bastric throwing out the Bob. There was really nothing that Hawaii could do. They couldn't move past it. They couldn't destroy it in time, despite that great Ant Matrix and Fire Strike combination. They can't get anything out of it. I would say, like, they missed the Gravitic Flux too. Lucky Dog tried going for it last second. I don't think they picked up anyone, but even still, the Bob just too much for Hawaii to overcome. And the best they can hope for now is a draw to continue their life in this series. They give up 33% of that point, and it is done. Tennessee's going to go home with their first 3-0 of the season.
Yeah, it is very much so achievable here for Tennessee and Hawaii at this point. The best they can hope is to stave off death, but I gotta be honest with you, Jag, we haven't really seen that look come out of them.
No, but, you know, this could be the time. This could be the time. I do like the comp they have. It's kind of the best of both worlds of what we saw last time from Tennessee. They had the Junkrat and the Torbjorn. Could do very well at shutting down Tennessee depending on what they decide doing. And they have Newt on the Mercy, so death is not permanent in this situation. They lose one. It's in a good position. They can bring them back into the fight. So this composition gets the thumbs up approval from me, but can they execute it? They need to. And they're going to be going up against a Pharmacy. Pharmacy breaks that turret. That's going to be a lot of their flank damage gone.
As well, Basher might be looking for some opening entry kills on this Widowmaker, looking to just try to get anything they can, but with that grapple not finding its mark might mean this Widowmaker not quite able to get too much. Sees that Mercy Beam, trying to perhaps connect it onto that high ground, can't quite find the angle through the scope that they need. Now, as we look ahead, DaHub's actually just staying on the ground, calm, cool, and collected, trying to throw some damage off, scattering the team of Hawaii. Lemon Shark dangerously low. Doesn't get caught out, though. Instead, it's going to be the Torbjorn the first to fall. Doge Fighter getting caught up by that halt. Going to be backing up. They know that they have the opportunity before the respawns come in.
That's gotta go now. They gotta make sure they can take these tanks down, and now that Sigma is out of the way, it's just Orisa against the world. The Mercy is there, but they can't go for the res.
Mercy can't go for the res. It's too exposed into the line of sight from Basher. Going to be the concussive blast trying to come out from DaHubs, preventing Newt from getting that res. Not going to be preventing the res, but will just be removing the hero once again. As soon I say that, the Junkrat still has not been dealt with. There we go now from DaHubs. It's all about the Wrecking Ball, trying to hold out as long as possible, but there's only so long you can hold out.
I like how we kind of cast a curse that they can't get the res, but the one we were thinking about was the Sigma. The Sigma was way too far out in plain sight, and that's the res you really want. I mean, the Junkrat, maybe you can turn that around, maybe you get some amazing mines, but the Sigma is the sustain. The Sigma is what protects the rest of the team, and there, they just got pushed back. I mean, they were just waiting for the concussion blast from Pharah. Once that was through, once the hubs landed that, they just ran in. I mean, you saw, actually, they started out with Doge Fighter on the Zarya Diva, and I'm like, are they going to try to run this? And no, they swap to the Winston. They wait for that plan to be executed. They get the boop onto the ground, and then that's when Doge Fighter jumps in. He's able to cleave up on the Winston, and from there, that point kind of falls apart. Tennessee able to clean up and get their first sweep of the season.
Yeah, a big congratulations to Tennessee for getting that 3-0 victory. However, we're not quite done with them yet. We will have a few brief words with them on the other end of this break, folks. So stick around. You won't want to miss it. And welcome back, everyone. We are here in the interview booth, having a little bit of technical issue, but no problem there. We're going to be sitting here with Lucky Dog 305. Lucky, hello, welcome, and congratulations.
Thank you very much, man.
So I want to ask you about your mindset going up against your opponent here, moving forward at the beginning of this match. What did you have any notions about what playing against Hawaii was going to be like, or was this more of a blind read for you and your team?
So some of us like to like VOD review beforehand. Like we scout the other teams, use the previous streams to like scout ahead. So we kind of knew what we were going up against before we started playing, and then we also knew Hawaii is gonna have bad ping, so kind of helps.
Yeah, I mean it's unfortunate. They're pretty far away from us, but they are trying their best. But no one can blame you for taking that extra step and scouting them out, seeing what they're up to. Now, when I talked to you guys earlier this season, one of the things that you really were adamant about was learning new compositions, being more flexible. Now that you're 3 games into the season, do you have any new favorite composition that is developing over time?
Absolutely. So our main coach, leader kind of guy, Doge Fighter, he likes to push a lot of different comps on us, and I think his favorite comp right now is ball comp, so you see us running it a lot. We ran it on Li Jiang for the most part. But I still think we're a very brawl central team. It's close to the heart.
Yeah, it still looks great. I mean, there's no denying that. Now, you guys last season, you came in during the spring, weren't playing in the fall, had, mixed results, pretty decent overall, but you only had that 8-game circuit, so we didn't really get to get the full sample size. You're 3-0 right now, off to a really hot start. How far do you think you guys can go this season?
We're hoping to go all the way. I mean, right now, the main thing that at least I'm looking forward to the most is next spring season, is that 2 UTA games. I'm really looking forward to that. And so we're taking all like this fall season like pretty serious still, but for me it's all hard practice for those 2 UTA games.
Well said. We'll have to see how that rematch goes. And one last question before I get you back to Sir Waltham. You got a rematch kill, I believe, during the span of that series. So what is the reaction when you get a kill like that? Are you excited? Is it just another day at the office? Do you shout it to the entire team?
Those remake kills are what I live, breathe, sleep in. I mean, those things are just bread and butter right there, man.
All right. Well, hopefully we get to see more of that bread and butter as we see University of Tennessee progress through the rest of this series. But for now, Lucky Dog, thanks for hopping in here, answering a few of our questions. Before we let you go, do you want to give you the opportunity for any shout-outs?
Yeah, I appreciate you letting me in here. I want to shout out Doge. I want to shout out the entire team, Hubs, Basher, and the rest of them. And I want to shout out all the people who come to the chat to watch us and really pop off.
All right.
And I want to shout out, sorry. I want to shout out Jason, who is our advisor, and also Wichita, who's been a real help for us since week 1.
Fantastic. I mean, a lot of shout-outs there, a lot of well-deserved
Yeah.
shout-outs. Also, I also, like hearing the team support the chats, and when the chats support the teams, it's kind of a nice equal payoff kind of deal there. So Lucky Dog, once again, thank you for coming in here, answering a few of our questions, and in case I haven't said it already, congratulations.
Thank you.
And with that, Jack, we are just about ready to wrap things up. I don't know about you, but it has been a long day of casting for me. My vocal cords feeling a little bit sore at this time. We are ready to wrap up University of Tennessee, taking their 3-0 over the University of Hawaii. But final thoughts, what do you think?
I mean, I know that you saw some teams earlier today. I think that you and I saw 3 of the most dangerous teams right now in EGFC Overwatch. I think Tennessee, UConn, and Colorado are teams to look out for. I think St. John's, too, is still a really good team. I think they might have to go back to the drawing board a little bit and figure things out and see where they can go from there. But, I mean, all 3 of the teams that we saw win today, very dominant, all 3 O's, and they looked phenomenal. So I think I could definitely see all of them in top 5 at the very least, if not the top 3 overall.
All right, Jag, I'll do you a bet, see which one of these 3 teams performs the highest. But folks, the only way you're ever going to find out is if you tune in next week. We hope to see you there, same time, same place. But until then, stay safe. Take care, everyone.